Marry me.
Evelyn Carter didn't blink when she said it. She just slid the leather folder across the small metal cafe table like she was closing a routine business deal. Across from her, Marcus Reed stared at the folder, then at her, then back at the folder. "I'm sorry," he said slowly. "Did you just propose to me between a cappuccino and a blueberry muffin?" "Yes." "You don't even like muffins." "I know. That's how serious I am." Marcus leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "Evelyn, we met 40 minutes ago." 37, she corrected. "But who's counting?" He let out a short laugh, the kind people make when they're waiting for the punchline. She didn't laugh. That's when he realized she meant it. The cafe buzzed around them, espresso machines hissing, low chatter, a barista calling out a name that no one claimed. But at their table, the air felt tight. Marcus tapped the folder with one finger. "What exactly is in there?" "A proposal," Evelyn said. "Legal, financial, and logistical." "Logistical marriage. That's romantic." "It's not supposed to be." He studied her face. She looked calm, polished, expensive. Cream coat, sleek hair, diamond studs that probably cost more than his car. But her eyes were furious. "Okay," he said carefully. "Start from the top. Why me?" Evelyn inhaled slowly, like she was organizing a presentation in her head. "My ex-husband is getting remarried on Saturday." Marcus nodded once. "That explains the murder vibes, not the wedding vibes. He's hosting a private celebration at the Grand Novara Hotel. Politicians, investors, media, the works." Her jaw tightened. "And he made sure I got the invitation." Petty. Calculated. Marcus tilted his head, still not hearing where I come in. Evelyn finally opened the folder and turned it toward him. Inside were documents, neat and tabbed. "I need a husband," she said. "You could throw a rock in this city and hit 5. I need this husband." She pointed to a photo clipped to the inside pocket. It was him, taken from a local news article. Marcus groaned. "Oh no." Founder of East Side Roots Community Market, former urban agriculture teacher, runs job training programs, advocates for food access in low-income neighborhoods. Okay, stop reading my resume like it's a dating profile. You're respected, grounded, no scandals, and you hate the kind of people my ex surrounds himself with. "That part is true," Marcus admitted. Evelyn's voice dropped. Daniel Whitmore built his reputation on quiet prejudice, polite racism, boardroom exclusion, smiling discrimination. And now he's marrying into one of the wealthiest old money families in the state. Marcus's expression hardened. "Yeah, I know the type." "He always hated that I funded community programs," she continued. "Said I was wasting capital on optics. He told me once that investing in neighborhoods like yours was charity disguised as business." Marcus's jaw flexed. Charming guy. "So," she said, meeting his eyes, "I'm going to walk into his wedding weekend with a husband he never saw coming." Marcus blinked. "You want to marry me to make your racist ex mad?" "Yes." "That is wildly unhinged. Effective, though." He couldn't help it. He laughed again, louder this time. A couple at the next table glanced over. "Lady," he said, shaking his head, "I sell tomatoes and teach teenagers how to grow kale. You're on the cover of Forbes." "Former cover," she corrected. "Last year." "Still counts." She leaned forward. "This isn't just about spite. I've been looking at expanding my foundation's food equity projects. Your market is exactly the kind of model that works. But you've been stuck for years trying to get funding past zoning boards and private investors who don't think your neighborhood is profitable." He didn't like how accurate that was. "I can fund 3 new locations, infrastructure, staffing, distribution, no controlling stake, no rebranding, you stay in charge." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "What's the catch?" She held his gaze. "You wear a ring, you stand next to me, you let the world assume we're in love." "For how long?" "Probably a year. Legally, we can dissolve it after 18 months. He flipped through the papers. Prenup. Airtight. Separate finances. Always. No say in my business. None. He looked up. You've done this before? God, no. Then how are you this prepared? Evelyn hesitated for the first time. The anger in her eyes flickered into something more vulnerable. Because I refused to let him think he won, she said quietly. He left our marriage telling people I was difficult, too political, too emotional. I built $1 billion logistics company from scratch, and he reduced me to a stereotype. Marcus watched her carefully. I'm not doing this because I need a man, she continued. I'm doing it because I choose my own narrative. And right now, the narrative is that I moved on, powerfully, unapologetically, and with someone who actually stands for something. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Marcus said, You realize this could blow up both our lives. She nodded. Yes. My community might think I sold out. Then we tell them the truth about the investment, about the expansion. My mom will lose her mind. My mother already has, Evelyn said dryly. He huffed a laugh, then went quiet again. What happens, slowly he asked, if people start asking how we met? Evelyn's lips twitched. We'll say you insulted my coffee order and I admired your courage. That's terrible. Workshopping is part of marriage. Marcus closed the folder and tapped it at the table. You're serious, he said. Completely. You're also a little scary. I get that a lot. Marcus studied her one last time, the steel in her posture, the hurt she was trying not to show, and the determination humming under every word. You really want to walk into that hotel with me in front of every rich, racist, judgmental person your ex knows? Evelyn didn't hesitate. Yes. Marcus exhaled. Okay, he said, but we renegotiate. Her eyebrow lifted. Excuse me? You're not just funding expansion. You're funding scholarships through the market program, paid training, real wages. A slow smile spread across her face. Deal, she said, extending her hand. Marcus looked at it. Wow, Marcus muttered. I can't believe I'm about to agree to a revenge marriage with a billionaire. He shook her hand. Let's ruin his weekend. Back at Marcus' house, he was speaking to his mom on the phone. Absolutely not. Marcus held his phone away from his ear as his mother's voice blasted through the speaker. Ma, lower your... You met this woman yesterday. Technically, it was this morning. That is not better. Marcus paced across his apartment, stepping over a crate of fresh produce he'd been meaning to drop at the market. She's not some random person, he said. She runs Carter Global Logistics. I don't care if she runs NASA. People don't get married like this unless somebody's hiding a body. It's a legal agreement, Ma. That's what criminals say. Marcus rubbed his forehead. It's temporary. Marriage is not a free trial. Across town, in a glass-walled penthouse office overlooking the river, Evelyn was having a similar conversation, just significantly quieter and far colder. You cannot be serious, Evelyn. Her mother, Victoria Hale, sat stiffly on the cream sofa, pearls perfectly centered, posture sharper than a blade. He's a stranger, Victoria continued. This is reckless and humiliating. Humiliating for who? Evelyn asked calmly. For our family, the board, the press. Evelyn closed her laptop. Daniel never worried about humiliating me when he told investors I was unstable and temperamental. That's different. How? Victoria opened her mouth, then closed it. Evelyn's voice softened, but only slightly. I am not asking for permission. I'm informing you. Victoria stood. You're doing this to make a scene. Yes, Evelyn said simply. Her mother stared at her, stunned by the honesty. I built my life being polite, respectable, measured, and it still didn't stop him from undermining me behind closed doors. So now, I'm done being quiet. Victoria picked up her purse. This will end badly. Evelyn met her gaze. Good. 3 days later, Marcus stood outside City Hall in a suit he hadn't worn since his cousin's wedding. He tugged at the collar. I feel like I'm going to a job interview I didn't apply for. Evelyn stood beside him in a sleek ivory dress, simple, elegant, not remotely bridal. You look very calm for someone about to commit light emotional terrorism. I've had worse board meetings. Jasmine Reed, Marcus's younger sister, burst through the doors behind them. Okay, first of all, this is insane. Second of all, I want pictures. Marcus groaned. Traitor. Jasmine hugged Evelyn. Hi, future fake sister-in-law. I love mess. This is delicious. Evelyn smiled. You're my favorite already. Inside, the ceremony lasted 10 minutes. The clerk mispronounced Evelyn's middle name. Marcus almost laughed during the vows. When it was done, they stood there for a second, rings on their fingers, papers signed. Well, Marcus said, looking at the band on his hand, that escalated quickly. Evelyn stared at her ring like it personally offended her. Too late to run? He asked. She looked at him. Not even a little. Their first public appearance as married couple was less than 24 hours later, a charity tech gala, cameras, reporters, socialites. Marcus adjusted his tie for the 10th time. Remind me why we couldn't start with something small, like a grocery store opening. Because Daniel will be here, Evelyn said. Ah, spite, right. The car door opened. Flashbulbs exploded. Evelyn stepped out first, graceful, composed. Marcus followed, and immediately felt 100 eyes land on him. Whispers rippled. Is that? Who is he? Wait, is that her husband? Evelyn slid her hand into his. Her grip was firm. Smile, she murmured. I am smiling. You look like you're about to testify in court. Inside, the ballroom glittered with chandeliers and quiet judgment. Then Daniel Whitmore saw them. He froze mid-laugh, champagne glass hovering near his lips. His fiancée, Lillian, tall, blonde, draped in diamonds, followed his gaze. Her smile faltered. Evelyn didn't break stride. Showtime, she whispered. They stopped right in front of him. Daniel, Evelyn said pleasantly. Evelyn, he replied, voice tight. His eyes flicked to Marcus. I didn't know you were bringing someone. Marcus extended his hand. Marcus Reed, husband. He hesitated a fraction too long before shaking it. Husband, Lillian repeated, blinking. Yes, Evelyn said. We eloped. Very romantic. Terrible planning. Marcus nodded. We bonded over mutual hatred of bad coffee. Lillian let out a nervous laugh. Daniel didn't. Well, he said stiffly, congratulations. Thank you, Evelyn said. I hear the wedding planning is extensive. Lillian straightened. It will be an event people remember. Evelyn smiled sweetly. Oh, I'm sure it will be. A photographer approached. Mrs. Carter. Sorry, Mrs. Whitmore. Oh, I mean, Mrs. Reed, Evelyn said smoothly, pulling Marcus closer. The photo would be everywhere by morning. As they walked away, Marcus exhaled. Okay, that was icy. Did you see his face? Evelyn asked under her breath. Considerably less smug. Good. Across the room, Daniel watched them, jaw tight, as donors and board members began drifting towards Marcus with curious smiles. Isn't he the community market guy? I read about his program. Impressive work. Evelyn sipped her champagne, satisfied. Phase 1 was working. But as Marcus laughed with a group of guests, animated, warm, completely himself, Evelyn felt something unexpected twist in her chest. This wasn't just performance. People actually liked him. And for the first time all night, Evelyn realized something dangerous. She was proud to be standing next to him, not because it hurt Daniel, but because it felt right. She quickly pushed the thought away. This was strategy, nothing more. Right? She said to herself. By morning, the internet had opinions. Wait, that's her husband? Power move. Daniel Whitmore punching the air right now, obsessed with this plot twist. Marcus stared at his phone like it personally betrayed him. I look confused in every photo, he said. You were confused, Jasmine replied, scrolling beside him at the kitchen counter of the community market. Evelyn sat across from them with a tablet, already in work mode. Your follower count just tripled, he said. I don't want followers. I want zoning approval. Public goodwill helps with that, she said calmly. He eyed her. You're enjoying this. A little. His phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen, then frowned. What? Jasmine asked. It's Mrs. Alvarez, from the market. He answered. Hey, Mrs. A. Yeah, I saw. No, it's not fake. Well, it's legally real. No, I did not become a millionaire overnight. Okay, technically, Mrs. A. Evelyn tried not to smile as he paced, patiently explaining his life choices to a 60-year-old woman who ran the tamale stall. This is my life now, he muttered after hanging up, explaining contract marriage logistics before 9 a.m. You're doing great, Jasmine patted his shoulder. Meanwhile, across town, Daniel Whitmore was not doing great. This is a stunt, he snapped, pacing his office while his publicist sat rigidly on the couch. Publicly, it's reading as romantic, the publicist said carefully. Romantic? Yes, successful woman marries community leader. It's being framed as values-driven. His jaw tightened. Dig into him. We already did. He's clean. Everyone has something. Not him, she said. If anything, this makes you look out of touch. Daniel stared at her. That's not my professional opinion, she added. That's social media. He grabbed his phone and threw it on the desk. Fine, he said coldly. Then we change the narrative. That afternoon, Evelyn visited Marcus's market for the first time since the wedding. No press, no announcement, just her, in jeans and a long coat, walking through aisles stacked with fresh produce and handmade signs. This is where the magic happens? She asked. Marcus, carrying a crate of peppers, nodded. Welcome to the least glamorous place you've ever invested in. She looked around, kids helping bag groceries, an elderly man arguing about tomato prices, a mural of sunflowers on the back wall. I like it, she said. You don't have to pretend. I'm not. He set the crate down. This place matters, Evelyn, not as a PR accessory, as survival for people. She met his eyes. I know, that's why I'm here. He studied her, then nodded once. Okay. A teenage employee rushed over. Mr. Reed, the delivery truck is late again. Marcus sighed. Of course it is. I'll call, Evelyn said, pulling out her phone. He blinked. You don't have to. Logistics empire, remember? 5 minutes later, she hung up. Your supplier rerouted the shipment without telling you. It'll be here in 22 minutes. Marcus stared. You just did in 5 minutes what I've been fighting for 3 years. She shrugged. People answer billionaire calls. That's deeply unfair. Yes, she agreed quietly. They stood there for a moment. Thank you, he said. You're welcome. Neither of them moved. A little too long. Jasmine walked by, saw them, and smirked. I'm just gonna give this aisle emotional privacy. Both of them stepped back immediately. Professional marriage, Marcus muttered. Strictly contractual, Evelyn agreed. That night, they had dinner at her penthouse, part of the public normalcy strategy. Marcus stood in the massive kitchen, staring at a fridge that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. You don't have leftovers, he said. I have staff, she replied. That's worse. They ended up ordering takeout and eating on the floor of her living room, shoes off, city lights glowing through the windows. This is not how I imagined billionaire life, he said, opening a carton of noodles. How did you imagine it? More monocles. She laughed, really laughed, and he froze for a second, surprised by the sound. What? She asked. Nothing. I don't think I've heard you laugh before. She looked down at her food. I used to. More. He didn't push. After a while, she said quietly, Daniel hated when I laughed too loud, said it wasn't refined. Marcus frowned. That's ridiculous. I know. Silence settled, softer this time. You don't have to shrink anymore, he said. Her eyes lifted to his. Not in this marriage, he added quickly, contractually. She smiled faintly. Good clause. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then frowned. What now? She asked. He turned the screen toward her. A news alert. Sources questioned authenticity of Evelyn Carter's sudden marriage. Her jaw tightened. Here we go, she said. Marcus looked at her. You okay? She held his gaze, steady. Let them talk, she said. We knew this was coming. But as the city lights flickered behind her, Marcus saw it, the old hurt creeping back in. And for the first time since this arrangement began, his anger wasn't about money or opportunity. It was about someone trying to tear her down again. He set his phone aside. "Okay," he said quietly. "Then we fight smarter." Evelyn looked at him, and for the first time, it didn't feel like strategy. It felt like they were on the same side for real. By the next morning, the headline had multiplied. Billionaire's marriage of optics? Is love just a PR strategy? Insiders claim relationship is transactional. Marcus read them while standing outside the market, coffee going cold in his hand. Transactional, he muttered, like we met on a stock exchange. Evelyn joined him, sunglass on, phone already buzzing with calls she was ignoring. They're testing the waters, seeing if the story sticks. Will it? Only if we let other people tell it. He looked at her. So what do we do? She hesitated. Then, we tell the truth, just not all of it. 2 days later, they sat side by side on a morning talk show couch. Bright lights, polished host, millions watching. Marcus adjusted his jacket mic. "I feel like I should have brought vegetables." Evelyn smiled politely at the host. That would have been on brand. The host beamed at the camera. "So, everyone wants to know, whirlwind romance or well-planned surprise?" Marcus glanced at Evelyn. She nodded slightly. He took a breath. "We met through community development work, started talking, found we care about the same things." "That's true," Evelyn added. "We believe business should help people, not just profit from them." The host leaned in. "And the wedding?" Marcus grinned. "We're both decisive." Laughter from the crew. Evelyn relaxed just a little. "We didn't expect this much attention, but if it shines a light on food access and local business, we'll take it." Clip, share, viral again. Only this time, the comments shifted. "Okay, wait, I love them." He looks at her like she hung the moon. This is the healthiest rich person story I've seen all year. Marcus read that last one twice. "Hung the moon?" he said later in the car. "You do look at me like that sometimes," Evelyn said absent-mindedly, scrolling through emails. He almost choked on air. "I do not." She smirked. Across the city, Daniel watched the interview in silence. Lillian muted the TV. "They're likable." Daniel didn't answer. She crossed her arms. This is turning into a sympathy story for her. He stood abruptly. "Then we make it a scandal." The scandal attempt came fast. An anonymous source claimed Marcus's market had misused grant funds. It hit 3 blogs before lunch. Marcus read the article twice, face pale. This could destroy us. Evelyn was already on her laptop. It's sloppy, no documents, no names. People believe headlines. Then we answer with proof. Within hours, Evelyn's legal team had compiled financial records, audits, testimonials. Marcus went live from the market's social page, holding paperwork in hand. "We've always been transparent," he said, voice steady, bite the nerves. "Anyone can come review our books. We're here to serve this community, not scam it." Comments flooded in. "We got you, Mr. Reed. Tell us where to donate. Don't let them bully you." Evelyn watched from the side, something warm building in her chest again. Later, her phone rang. Daniel. She stared at the screen, then answered. "What do you want, Daniel?" "You're being reckless," he said smoothly, "dragging that man into your mess." "He's not in my mess. He's my husband." A pause. "You don't even love him." Evelyn looked through the market window at Marcus laughing with a little kid near the fruit stand. Her voice came out colder than she expected. "You don't get to define my feelings." Daniel exhaled sharply. "This performance won't last." "Maybe not, but your control over my life already ended." She hung up. Marcus walked over. "Everything okay?" She slipped the phone into her pocket. "Yes." He studied her face. "You sure?" She nodded. He didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. Instead, he handed her an apple. Peace offering from aisle 3. She took it. Thank you. They stood shoulder to shoulder, watching the market bustle. Hey, he said after a moment. Yeah? No matter how messy this gets, I don't regret it. Her throat tightened slightly. Me neither. And this time, neither of them pretended it was just about revenge. The first time Evelyn met Marcus's mother in person, she brought pie. Not catered, not designer, pie. She said, I made it, holding the slightly lopsided apple pie like a peace offering. Mrs. Loretta Reed looked from the pie to Evelyn to Marcus. You baked? I had supervision. YouTube counts. Loretta took the pie slowly. Come inside before the neighbors see me judging you on the porch. Marcus muttered, This is her being nice. Inside the small, warm house filled with family photos and the smell of spices, Evelyn felt more nervous than she had at any board meeting in her life. Loretta sat across from her at the kitchen table. So, you married my son. Yes, ma'am. Why? Marcus opened his mouth. Loretta held a hand. I asked her. Evelyn met her eyes. No spin, no polish. Because he's a good man, and because I needed someone brave enough to stand next to me when things got ugly. Loretta studied her for a long moment. Are you planning to break his heart? She asked bluntly. Evelyn swallowed. No. Good, Loretta said, because I raised him soft on the inside. He just hides it under all that stubborn. Marcus blinked. Ma! What? It's true. Evelyn smiled, tension easing. Loretta cut a slice of pie and took a bite. She chewed. Everyone waited. Needs cinnamon, she declared. Evelyn laughed in relief. That evening, Evelyn hosted a strategy dinner with her foundation board and insisted Marcus come. The long glass dining table gleamed under soft lighting. Executives in tailored suits sipped sparkling water and assessed Marcus like a resume come to life. So, one board member said, your market model depends heavily on community labor. Community ownership, Marcus corrected. People invest time because they benefit directly. And scalability? With the right infrastructure, massive. Evelyn watched him command the room, calm, clear, confident, not intimidated, not performing, just himself. She felt that twist in her chest again. After the meeting, as guests filtered out, one older investor lingered. I misjudged this, he told Evelyn quietly. I thought this marriage was impulsive. She glanced at Marcus across the room, laughing with her operations director. It wasn't impulsive, she said. It was intentional. A week later, they attended Daniel's wedding weekend. Not the ceremony, they weren't invited to that part, but the welcome gala the night before. Grand Novara Hotel, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, old money everywhere. Marcus adjusted his cufflinks. Ready? No, Evelyn said honestly, but we're going anyway. When they answered, the room shifted. Not whispers this time, stares, phones subtly lifting. Lillian spotted them first. Her smile froze. Daniel turned. The color drained from his face just a fraction. Evelyn squeezed Marcus's hand. Remember, she murmured, we belong anywhere we decide to stand. They walked forward. A woman in diamonds blocked their path. I didn't realize this was open attendance. Evelyn smiled politely. It's a hotel, not a secret society. Marcus coughed to hide a laugh. Daniel approached, jaw tight. Evelyn, I thought we agreed. We never agreed on anything after the divorce, she said lightly. His gaze flicked to Marcus. Enjoying the spotlight? Marcus met his eyes evenly. I prefer sunlight. Things grow better in it. Daniel's smile thinned. Careful, attention fades. Impact doesn't, Marcus replied. Evelyn felt something shift in that moment. This wasn't just her fight anymore. Later, on the terrace overlooking the city, Evelyn stood alone for a second, catching her breath. Marcus joined her. You okay? She nodded. Just old ghosts. He leaned on the railing beside her. You know, for a revenge plan, this turned into a lot of emotional growth. She huffed a laugh. Unexpected side effects. Below them, the city lights stretched endlessly. "Do you ever wish," she asked quietly, "that we'd met normally?" Marcus glanced at her. "Like, no contracts, no drama, just two people bumping into each other somewhere random?" He smiled softly. "We did bump into each other. At a revenge meeting. Still counts." She looked at him, really looked at him. The steadiness, the warmth, the way he never tried to shrink her. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I guess it does." Inside, music swelled as the party grew louder, but out on the terrace, the noise felt far away. For the first time, neither of them said, "This is temporary," and neither of them corrected the silence. The next morning, the tabloids pivoted again. Not scandal this time, speculation. Is this still a contract? Body language experts say something changed, from strategy to something real. Marcus read the headlines while unloading crates at the market. Jasmine leaned against a stack of boxes, grinning. "Y'all look married." "We are married," Marcus said. "You know what I mean." He didn't answer, because the truth was he did know what she meant. The shift wasn't dramatic, it was quiet. Evelyn started texting him first, not about logistics, but random things. "Did you know pigeons can recognize themselves in mirrors? I think my assistant is secretly judging my shoe choices. What's for dinner, and why do I care?" Marcus found himself smiling at his phone like a teenager. One night, she showed up at the market after closing, heels in hand, hair pulled back. "Bad day?" he asked. "Terrible," she said. "Can I help you mop?" "You don't mop." "I can learn." She did a terrible job. He teased her. She splashed him with dirty water. They laughed until their sides hurt. At some point, they stopped pretending this was still a performance. The problem was, real feelings didn't fit neatly into contracts. Evelyn felt it during a board call when an investor joked, "Guess the marriage did wonders for your image." She smiled politely, but later her hands shook in anger. Marcus felt it when a reporter asked if he'd married up. He answered calmly, but that night he lay awake staring at the ceiling because a small, ugly voice whispered, "What if this ends and you go back to being invisible?" The tension finally cracked on a Tuesday night. They were arguing about something stupid, scheduling, media appearances. "This wasn't part of the agreement," Marcus snapped. "You agreed to public appearances, not to feeling like a mascot." Evelyn stiffened. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" he shot back. "Sometimes it feels like I'm just another symbol you get to deploy." The words hung heavy. Evelyn's face went pale. "You think I'm using you?" she asked quietly. He exhaled sharply. "I don't know. Sometimes." Silence. Then Evelyn laughed, once, not humor, hurt. "Do you have any idea how much I've lost because of this? Board seats, donors, friends." "I didn't ask you to." She cut in. "I chose to, because I wanted to, because you matter." Her voice cracked. Marcus froze. "I didn't marry you for optics," she said. "I married you because you were the first person who looked at me and didn't want to control me." He stared at her. "And if you think I'd risk my company, my reputation, my life for a symbol, then maybe you don't know me at all." The fight drained out of him instantly. "Evelyn," he said quietly, "I didn't mean—" "She knows," she said, turning away. "That's what makes it worse." She walked to the window, arms wrapped around herself. Marcus followed, stopping a step behind her. "I'm scared," he admitted quietly. She didn't turn. "I've built my whole life on independence. It's bigger than anything I've ever stepped into, and part of me is waiting for the other shoe to drop." She finally looked at him. "I'm scared too," she said softly. "I don't do vulnerability well. I do contracts." He smiled sadly. "Yeah, I noticed." They stood there, raw and honest. "No more pretending?" he asked. "No more pretending," she agreed. Daniel struck the next day. He announced a new philanthropic initiative mirroring Evelyn's foundation almost exactly. Same focus, same language. Press ate it up. "Reconciliation through community investment," the headlines read. Marcus slammed his laptop shut. "He's stealing your work." "He's trying to rewrite history," Evelyn said calmly, too calmly. She didn't attend the press conference. Instead, she showed up at the market. "Let's expand faster," she said. Marcus blinked. "What?" "He wants a race? Fine, but we do it right." They spent hours mapping plans on butcher paper, no assistants, no lawyers, just them. By midnight, the plan was bold, risky. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked. Evelyn met his gaze. "I trust you." The words landed heavier than any contract clause. The expansion announcement broke a week later. 3 new markets, community-owned, transparent funding, and one more thing. At the press conference, Evelyn took the podium. This marriage began under unusual circumstances, but what grew from it is real. Partnership, respect, shared purpose. Marcus stood beside her, heart pounding. "This isn't a PR story," she continued. "It's a human one." She reached for his hand. Not staged, not practiced, real. The room felt it. The internet felt it. Daniel watched from his office, expression dark, because for the first time he realized something he couldn't undo. Evelyn hadn't moved on. She had built something better, and it didn't include him at all. Back at the market, Marcus had other plans. The proposal wasn't planned. It wasn't filmed. There were no photographers hiding in bushes or string quartets waiting for a cue. It happened on a folding chair behind the market while Marcus was trying to fix a busted delivery schedule. Evelyn was sitting on an overturned crate, shoes off, scrolling through budget numbers. "You know, our anniversary's coming up," he said without looking up. "Which one? Legal or emotional? Both feel important." She smiled faintly. 6 months. Statistically impressive for a revenge marriage. He looked at her then, really looked at him. "No," he said, "for a real one." She stilled. The market hummed around them, forklifts beeping, music playing faintly from someone's phone, voices calling out inventory counts. "I was thinking," he continued, suddenly nervous, "maybe we stop pretending this has an expiration date." Evelyn's breath caught. "Marcus?" "I know this started as strategy," he said, "but somewhere between scandal and mop duty, you became my person." Her eyes filled before she could stop them. "I don't want a contract ending. I want a life starting. For real this time. No clauses." She stood slowly. "You're proposing," she said softly. "Yeah," he said, "properly. Just without kneeling because my knee would never recover from this floor." She laughed through tears. "Yes," she said. "Yes, you absolute disaster of a romantic." He pulled her into a hug that knocked over the crate behind her. Jasmine, watching from across the market, screamed, "I knew it!" and started clapping. Employees joined in. Evelyn buried her face in Marcus's shoulder, laughing and crying at the same time. No cameras, no headlines, just love. The second wedding was their idea, not to prove anything, just to celebrate something real. "No ballroom," Evelyn said. "No tuxedo rental that costs more than my first car," Marcus added. They settled on the market courtyard at sunset. String lights, long wooden tables, food made by local vendors. Evelyn's mother cried during planning. Marcus's mother cried the entire time. Even Jasmine got emotional, though she pretended it was allergies. On the day of the wedding, Evelyn stood in a simple dress that moved when she laughed. Marcus wore a tailored suit, no tie, sleeves slightly rolled. When she walked toward him, the world felt quiet. Not because there wasn't noise, but because nothing else mattered. "You ready?" he whispered as she reached him. "I've been ready," she said. The officiant smiled. "We're gathered here not because of a contract," laughter rippled through the crowd, "but because 2 people chose each other. Twice." Marcus went first. "I met you because you were mad. And I stayed because you're brilliant, stubborn, generous, and the only person I know who can negotiate a merger and still cry over dog videos." Evelyn laughed through tears. "You taught me love doesn't make you smaller. It gives you more room to be yourself. And I promise to stand beside you in boardrooms, grocery aisles, and every messy middle in between." Evelyn took a shaky breath. "You came into my life like a headline. Loud, unexpected, complicated." Soft laughter. "But you stayed like a home. Steady, warm, safe. You never asked me to shrink. You just handed me space and said, 'Be all of it.'" Marcus's eyes shone. "I promise to choose you," she said, voice firm. Not because it makes a point, not because it proves anything, but because loving you is the easiest decision I've ever made. There wasn't a dry eye in the courtyard. Even the teenager who pretended to hate everything wiped his face. Rings, the officiant prompted. They slipped them on. Simple bands, no spectacle. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, and by the community that clearly ships this relationship harder than anyone else, I pronounce you husband and wife. Cheers exploded. Marcus kissed her, and this time there was no performance. Across the city, Daniel saw the wedding photos trending. Not tabloids, not gossip sites. People sharing joy. Community pages. Local news. Love wins in Brooklyn courtyard wedding. He stared at the screen, jaw tight, because there was nothing left to attack. No scandal, no cracks. Just two people who had turned his bitterness into something beautiful. He closed the browser. For the first time, he understood. He hadn't lost Evelyn to another man. He had lost her to the version of herself she became without him, and that was something he could never compete with. Late that night, long after the guests left and the lights dimmed, Evelyn and Marcus sat alone on the market steps, barefoot, exhausted, happy. "Mrs. Reed," he said softly. She smiled. "Mr. Reed." "No contracts," he reminded her. "No exit clauses," she agreed. He leaned his head against hers. "Best revenge ever?" he asked. She thought about it, then shook her head. "Not revenge," she said. "Then what?" She laced her fingers through his. "Freedom." 1 year later. The courtyard was quiet now, the string lights still strung from last summer's wedding. Marcus leaned against the railing, watching the market buzz around him. Vendors shouting prices, kids running between stalls, the smell of fresh bread and spices hanging in the air. Evelyn joined him, carrying a clipboard and a coffee cup. She didn't even notice the smell of the market anymore. She breathed in the chaos like it was home. "You're smiling at nothing again," she nudged his shoulder. "I'm smiling at everything," Marcus replied. "At us, at this place, at, well, everything we've built." She set the clipboard down, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Remember our first press interview when we both pretended this was just a game?" He laughed. "I'd like to forget it. My ego survived that week." "And yet, here we are," she said, eyes glinting. "Billionaire wife, market king. Everyone thinks we're some viral love story, but it's ours, real." He reached for her hand, interlacing their fingers. "Do you ever think about him?" Marcus nodded towards the city skyline. "Daniel? Or the old life?" Evelyn's jaw tightened slightly. Just a flicker of old fire. "I do. I think about the woman I used to be, trying to fit his idea of perfect, shrinking to make him comfortable." She squeezed his hand. "But that person isn't me anymore. I'm the woman standing here, beside you, choosing us every day." Marcus's eyes shone. "And I've never had to choose anyone before, like this." A sudden buzz from her phone interrupted the moment. A news alert. Marcus Reed and Evelyn Carter. Power couple turns market into national model for community success. She raised an eyebrow. "Looks like we broke the internet again." Marcus laughed. "Or maybe the headlines finally caught up to reality." Evelyn's smile softened, and she leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you realize something?" she whispered. "All this started because I wanted revenge. And now it's what?" he asked, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Redemption," she said. "For both of us. For the market. For us." Marcus kissed her top of her head. "Best revenge ever then." She looked up, eyes shining. "No, Marcus. Not revenge. Freedom and love. The kind that doesn't need contracts, headlines, or approval. The kind that survives everything." Behind them, the market pulsed with life. Laughter, music, and the aroma of fresh bread. proof that something ordinary could become extraordinary when built together. And as the sun dipped behind the skyline, painting the city gold, they stood hand in hand, knowing that no ex, no headline, no past grievance could ever touch the life they chose to create. Because some love stories weren't about revenge, they were about rising together, unshakable, unstoppable. And that is exactly what they were. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't just scroll away. Drop a heart in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and join this storytelling family for more powerful journeys like this one. Tell me in the comments, do you believe love can start in the most unlikely way?
This is an incredible story of Evelyn Carter, a billionaire businesswoman who got married to Marcus Reed, a black community leader, just to get back at her racist ex-husband, only to discover unexpected love, partnership, and redemption. Evelyn and Marcus didn't just find love, they built something bigger than themselves. And stories like this remind us that courage, kindness, love, and connection can change everything. They started with revenge, but ended with love, healing, and a future they never saw coming. If you enjoyed this story, do like and subscribe to our channel and turn on that notification bell so you'll be the first person to know when we drop a new video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.